Sydney Water first began to monitor the city's creeks and rivers for flow, velocity and other hydrometric data over 66 years ago, and it started testing our water supply in 1943 at the board's chemical and bacteriological branch for bacteriological examination. The history of water monitoring goes back much further, to ancient Egyptian times when pharaohs were concerned the Nile would flood. As long as 3,000 years ago, these rulers had the river's height measured daily. As early as 1500 BC, Egyptians were testing water quality and used the chemical alum to remove suspended particles by coagulation. During the 1950s, Sydney Water's early hydrometric team were modifying gauges and field monitoring equipment sourced from Australia and overseas to suit local conditions. In 1952, our Pitt Street Sydney laboratory gained accreditation from the National Association of Testing Authorities for the first time and has retained it to this day. The lab is the oldest in Australia to be continuously accredited to such a high standard. By the 1960s, Sydney Water had begun to install equipment in remote areas to better understand the water and rainfall systems that affect Sydney's water supply. Field sampling and testing began in the 1970s, and we continued to acquire purpose-built equipment and develop monitoring methods to world-class standards through the 1980s and beyond. Today, Sydney Water's monitoring services is a modern, thriving, dynamic group of people based at West Ryde, employing hundreds of specialist staff across its 4 business units. Using the latest technology and still delivering quality data, information and services, monitoring services deploy a wide range of enthusiastic people in the catchment areas and distribution areas of Sydney, helping assure the quality of our drinking water supplies and the health of the environment. The laboratory has millions of dollars of the latest technology in analytical equipment and employs hundreds of specialist staff of all ages with unique expertise in analysis of water and environmental samples.
It's quite difficult to find parasites in the water. Unlike bacteria, they don't grow in culture media, therefore we have to count them directly. Even low concentrations of crypta and giardia can be significant to public health, and so we need very sophisticated and sensitive methods capable of extracting them from large amounts of water.
Elsewhere in the analytical services, our cell and molecular biology laboratory is the only one in Australia that is accredited to internationally recognised standards for virus analysis in water samples.
For drinking water, one of the organisms we test for is totocoliforms. We use this as an indicator organism. It can indicate that there is a pathogen or a virus in the water, so we are always constantly testing the water supply for this.
Analysis of samples in our nutrients laboratory can detect small amounts of chemicals, such as nitrogen and phosphorus, even when a sample contains very high concentrations of salt.
Sydney Water has a multiple barrier approach to recycled water production, so it has to mix both the New South Wales recycled water guidelines and the national quality drinking water guidelines.
Other services include geosmin analysis via our organics laboratory. Geosmin is an organic compound with a noticeable flavour and aroma that the human nose can detect in concentrations as low as 10 parts per trillion. Testing for geosmin is one of the best ways to identify off odours and tastes in drinking water.
Such low levels are important to us because the threshold, human threshold, is 10 ppg for geosmin. So we can have to test it at really low levels. For comparison, the salt can be tested by humans at 0.25 ppm level.
With our field services team, we have one of the largest specialist workforces in Australia that samples and tests water from catchment to the customer's tap, servicing over 4 million Sydney-siders.
We get to travel as far south as Juroa. We get to travel as far north as Brooklyn and also along the Hawkesbury Nepean River, where we get to sample by boat. We also travel as far west into the Blue Mountains as Mount Victoria, and we also have clients who require us to sample out in remote locations.
One of the most recent success stories at monitoring services is the implementation of devices in residential properties which deliver real-time data to monitor water consumption.
But more recently we've moved into what they call smart water metering, whereby we use the latest technology to transfer data to our system. This also involves installing one of these displays in the household so that the customer can look at their meter consumption.
Smart water meters are being installed in over 460 Sydney homes as part of an efficiency trial. Around a third of them will receive interactive displays that can generate graphs comparing daily, weekly and monthly water use against average or targeted use. Perhaps our most significant advancement since the 1940s has been enabled by this kind of new technology. Today, most data gathered by monitoring services is transferred electronically and automatically from its source to meet multiple user requirements. Climate change is an evolving global impact on many Australians. The challenge for providers of drinking water and a healthy environment is to deliver sustainable solutions. The future for monitoring services involves new sources of water, such as recycled effluent, desalinated seawater, and other new sources. Monitoring services is founded on an ability to continuously deliver quality results. It's a small but significant part of Sydney Water's assurance of quality drinking water supplies and environmental responsibility.